Happy Halloween, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Bodacious Rant. I hope everybody's week is going great. We are now entering the holiday season with Halloween finally happening / over, so it's kind of scary. I feel like it definitely snuck up a lot faster than I thought, but that's neither here nor there. So this last weekend we had a movie which I didn't realize was this gonna be this anticipated. This is the first movie this year. Trying to find a seat for it, near impossible. Which I did not expect that to be a thing. No, that's what when I was telling you about. Like, dude, I can't get tickets to this, or I'm not gonna sit in a crowded theater next to some rando. Okay, that's not me. You know, I want my own space with my homies or nobody at all. Okay, that's just how I roll. Anyways. We are talking about the latest Blumhouse film, probably the most successful one to date. And if you haven't heard it, it is Five Nights at Freddy's. It's based on a really weird video game. I never played it, but it was one of those games I always saw either online or at Blockbuster that just looked really weird. But I never rented it or played it, so I can't speak to it. But this is a non-spoiler review. Technically, it's on streaming, so it doesn't really matter. But if you're interested in this, and maybe for horror enthusiasts, this may be a movie you want to check out. So please do not forget to give us a like, ring the bell, and of course subscribe. We appreciate you all, love you all, and let's kick off the horror evenings, the horror season done with, into the season of giving and love.
Mariah season is upon us, folks.
Oh God, no, I don't. Okay, never mind, Bern. You just killed it for me. Screw that. Anyways,
no. What? We stan Mariah. Okay,
it's everywhere. Anyways, we're not talking about Mariah right now. So this movie stars an actor that's been around since our childhood, essentially, Josh Hutcherson. You guys may recognize him from the Hunger Games franchise. That's probably the one he's most known for. He was also in Zathura. He was in Kicking and Screaming. Do you remember that soccer movie with Will Ferrell?
Do, yes.
Yeah, he was Will Ferrell's half-brother, which is like, that's so weird. But anyways, he plays kind of a down-on-his-luck guy. You know, he's taking care of his little sister. But then all of a sudden, he gets a security job for this really weird restaurant / kid place. Basically, the murder's version of Chuck E. Cheese's. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so he gets that job, and little does he know that the animatronics are possessed. And that's pretty much all I can say. Now, I have never played the game, so I went into this not knowing jack about it, just from the trailers and stuff. And it was okay. I thought, I was really hoping I'd like it more than I did, than I really did, but it wasn't really that scary. It was okay. Also, Matthew Lillard is in it, who's actually, nobody really talks about it, but he's pretty much a Scream king. You know, like how Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Jamie Lee Curtis, they're Scream queens. He's been around for so many good, like, classic or cult classic horror movies, and just gotta love the guy. And so he plays a very interesting character too. It's kind of familiar, but at the same time, it's a little bit different. But overall, yeah, I just thought it was okay. I thought the animatronics were ripped right out of the game, so that was kind of really cool. They did it that way. Josh Hutcherson, he's so cool. I just don't think I could buy him into a horror movie. This is one of those things I'm like,
interesting.
I don't think it's their genre, pal. But I don't know. What else? What did you think about this, Bern? I know this is like one of those movies because I know you're not super into horror, but also I don't know what you thought about this going into it. So what did you think, Bern?
You know, this narrative that I'm not into horror needs to stop. We need to just gotta put that to bed because I do like horror. Okay, like, I'm just a baby. You know, the horror gets me, even the cheap kind. You know, a good jump scare is like they're meant for me, and I mean, like it always gets me, and I hate it, but I love it at the same time. But yeah. So like you, I'm not really familiar with Five Nights at Freddy's. You know, I've never played the games, but I guess through just like pop culture osmosis, like I'm familiar with it in that sense. You know, like you mentioned, the property itself is pretty big. You know, there's where I have, you know, younger cousins who've played that game or the game series, I guess, because there's been a whole bunch of them now at this point. So, you know, I've never played it myself, but it, you know, it's kind of one of those things where it's just out there, you know, and you just kind of like know about it in that sense. So, you know, before watching the movie, I did go ahead and like watch like a couple of lore videos. So just in case there was like something in there, because I assume like a lot of things, you know, is made for the fans. So I thought, okay, maybe I want to kind of see what's it like, what it's about, like in the broad strokes of it. I didn't dive too deep into it, but I just kind of wanted a little bit of an understanding, going into it. And yeah, man, I mean, this is kind of one of those things where I would say like this movie is sort of like pitches itself, and I think the franchise as a whole sort of pitches itself as like an entry level horror thing. Like I would kind of put it in the same vein of something like, I don't know, like Halloween Town, Gremlins, Hocus Pocus, things like that. Where this movie is PG-13 and the games are rated T for teen. So these are meant for like younger audiences. So I can see this being like an entry level type of horror thing for people. And that's kind of like seeing it through that framework. I kind of get how this movie is the way it is, because for someone like me and maybe for someone like you, or like maybe adults or who aren't big fans of the property, there's just not a lot here, unfortunately. The movie is almost kind of like the worst possible outcome, in the sense that this is kind of just a dull movie. Like you said, it wasn't really all that scary. The concept itself is interesting, and I thought lends itself well to like a pretty fun horror movie. But it just didn't seem like it took advantage of the premise that it had. A security guard trying to survive animatronic monsters. Basically, that sounds really fun, and I don't think the movie ever kind of got to that level, unfortunately. It's just sort of the plot happens and that was kind of it. Like it wasn't really all that scary either. The jump scares, didn't scare me, and like I mentioned at the beginning, I'm an easy scare, and none of them got to me. There were a couple of interesting kills, but I think also the fact that it is a PG-13 thing, like it doesn't really have that oomph in there. And not to say that this movie should be rated R or anything, but I think just the way it was staged and stuff was just, it again, like it didn't feel like it took advantage of the premise as much as I would have liked it to. Especially with certain plot threads they introduce at the beginning of the movie, they kind of just go nowhere at some points, or don't have a satisfying payoff, which was kind of frustrating, because I mean the concept of a monstrous evil Chuck E. Cheese. No, you can do a lot with that. It feels like, and the game series it proves that you definitely can. There's a lot of stuff to mine from this, and just the movie itself, just like I said, the worst possible outcome. It just kind of fell flat. Like it wasn't great, and it wasn't like a god awful horror movie that you can kind of have fun at its expense. It was just kind of somewhere in the middle, I feel like, and that's kind of a little bit more of a bummer than anything else.
Yeah, and I completely agree. And first off, Byrne, I don't mean to besmirch your character. It's the fact that I link the scared of stuff and not liking it. That's kind of what I do. But I do appreciate that you're honest about the fear, and it's good to have that. Embrace it. But
I am the
yeah,
fear.
but yeah, I do agree with you. In all honesty, now knowing when you're talking about how it, given it is PG-13 and the games were T, that kind of does make a lot more sense why it was the way it was. But it's not the same, especially with someone like Matthew Lillard being like one of these guys who was involved in movies like Scream, 13 Ghosts, and he was Shaggy, for God's sake. It's one of those things I'm like, I think you could have had a lot more fun with it, and I wouldn't. And maybe I'm just past that horror of like being PG-13, unless it's something like The Conjuring or, something a lot. I think I was looking for something a little more adult on that side, but given it is about like a young brother essentially and his little sister who was played by Piper Rubio, which she was both adorable but kind of annoying to me.
I agree.
That's okay. Good. Yeah, I didn't want to be like an a-hole about it, but so it was just okay overall. Given I did watch it at home because couldn't find seats for it. It's on Peacock for anyone who has that. So I had that luxury, so it could have been that factor. I can't really say. But with all that being said, I'm going to give this movie a 2 out of 5. But again, I could say whatever I want about it, but the fact is this movie has killed the box office. Blumhouse is making a killing on it, which is kind of amazing because there have been some other movies under his belt that, like, franchises are really well known. But this is the one to really topple all of them, essentially. So, if you do kind of like, if you want another video game adaptation, this one may be for you. I think that's why a lot of people really like it. Other than that, if you're more of like a hardcore movie fan or want something genuinely scary, I wouldn't recommend it for you.
Yeah, like I said, this seems like one of those that's kind of directed to the fans of the game. Like for anyone who's just like just a straight up horror fan, there isn't too much here to walk away from liking. I mean, I think that like you mentioned the puppetry for the animatronics, the Jim Henson Company did those, and I thought those were really good. The set design too is also really nice, and I thought the whole like rundown arcade, pizzeria type thing was really cool visually. It's just again one of those things where I feel like the movie didn't make use of the location as much as I would have liked it to, or to like explore it and make it more of a character. I feel it didn't really reach that. I mean the acting across the board is decent. Again, there's nothing here that I think is just outright bad. I don't think you're gonna walk away from anything in this movie thinking that was trash or that was like not good at all. It's like no, everything here is just solid enough, for it to like not displease longtime fans. But then again, it doesn't also do anything to bring in new ones. I feel like so. For me, this one is gonna end up also being a 2 out of 5. Like I said, very entry level horror movie. Maybe the kids might enjoy this one a lot more than the people like me and you did, and I'm sure there's a ton of stuff here for the fans to really enjoy in terms of like Easter eggs and call outs to the games and stuff. So I think out of everyone, they might walk away from this one being the most high on it, and that unfortunately isn't me.
Yeah, and it's a bummer because I really like horror, and there have been some good ones this year.
Oh yeah.
This is just one that just kind of fell flat. But anyways, now that this movie's out, let us know, whoever saw it, whether it be streaming or in theaters, what did you guys think about it? Did you love it? Was it dull like for us? Or if you're a video game fan, what did this do for you? We love to know and keep that conversation going. But I'm very excited. Invincible's finally coming back after almost 2 years of hiatus. So we got that first half of the season coming up. Loki's going on right now. Gen V is finishing up, so keep an eye out for that review. We got a lot of stuff coming out. Especially Netflix is going to kill it this month, unfortunately, because there's still the actor strike going on. So we're not getting Dune Part 2, and we're not getting the new movie Bike Riders with Austin Butler and Tom Hardy. So while I'm also excited, there's part of me that feels a deep loathing like the Grinch. So that's going to happen. But until next time, everyone, stay bodacious and keep on ranting for the both of us.
Absolutely, everybody. Be good, be safe, and as always, we'll catch y'all on the next one.